Mr. Corey, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself, Philip?
I survived COVID. I made it through the trenches of COVID. I made it. I lived. I had a lot of snot.
You sound like a Batman.
I had a lot of snot. I'm still, it's been 2 weeks. I'm still kind of congested, but not bad. Like I was at work all last week, type idea.
Yeah, but you don't work hard. I mean, you've got a desk job. Oh, wait, no, you don't.
Wait,
You're crawling around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No,
Sorry, that's me.
wait a minute.
I'm the guy with the desk job. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it was, it wasn't bad. The whole family got it. Wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought it would be a lot worse, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, when you hear it,
I thought it would be awesome.
I thought it would be worse. I thought it would be like, we're all gonna have like, who's gonna take care of us? Two of us didn't get sick at all, or hardly at all, and three of us were like a cold, sore throat, runny nose. It's not as glamorous as what I would,
You won't be doing a YouTube video about your struggle with it?
My struggle of constant Kleenex and boredom, because I had to take the week off work. I was like, oh my God.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned who's going to take care of us.
Right.
Whenever you have something like Norwalk go through a house and everybody is going out both ends, and there literally is not enough bathrooms and buckets to handle
squeegees.
It's like nobody's caring about anybody. It's basically, you hope you don't get it both at the same, or all of you at the same time. All of you
at the same time. No, this was not like that. This was not, I don't know. It was like having a week off to do nothing but stare at each other. Yeah. The two youngest were a little bit, they had fevers. I think their bodies were actually reacting to it. My old body's like, whatever. It kills him. Fuck it. Don't worry about it.
That's what they say for the vaccine, for example, is you want, at least with the mRNA, at least with the second one, you're hoping for more discomfort.
I had next to nothing.
Yeah. So that's when you have that discomfort, again, in most cases, the damage being done is actually your body fighting whatever the foreign invader is. And sometimes it's like a scorched earth. It's like, okay, I'm going to jack the heat up. I'll burn it out. Well, it turns out, blood boils at that level, and maybe some delicate computer parts upstairs that you're cooking.
Well, that's it. Well, they didn't have really high fevers, and Tylenol and Advil took it down really pretty quick. But yeah, no, it wasn't. It was not what, you see the media, you hear. We had friends who had it, and they were like told similar story. And then you go, okay, well, you just don't know until you have it.
Now, this is the Omni variant. It's the prevalent variant now, which is the less lethal one. So originally, you had they did a survey in the States where you had 50% believe that if you get COVID, you're going to be hospitalized. Like the rate of hospitalization was 50%. It's not, it's single digits, it's like 3 to 5%. And out of that, the death rates are, but you put that over a population of 300 million.
Yeah, it's a big population for sure.
It becomes a big number, and health systems. And this is what we're suffering with here, right? We had people dying in hallways before COVID. Well, you start adding people there in the hospitals now, guess what? Now we're doing all sorts of, we have underfunded systems that are
when you have one doctor for an entire ER. It's pretty tough. And
the internet, Phil, we don't need doctors. I can Google my symptoms.
Right. And I don't know if that's a good idea. If you're listening, stay off the internet. Stay off of WebMD.
That's right.
Because everybody gets cancer that way. Or has.
Yes, that's right. Or has something, right? Oh my God, I am tired all the time.
Oh my God. My wife is like that. My wife was, I just searched up I'm like, no, we're not doctors. You're a smart woman. You got lots of education. However,
a little bit of self-advocation is fine, but understand one of you has gone to medical school for 10 years. The other is you.
That's right.
And keep that in mind. Now, but there's nothing wrong with questioning. It's like a mechanic, right? Melissa says, well, you go talk to mechanics. All I do is question whatever they say. They could say the tires have to come up the car to change. I'll be like,
do they have to come off?
Do they have to come off? Is there anything else you can do to change it? Like, just do that. to a degree, like make them walk.
I just mirror them. I just, but I had questions.
Right. That's right. I just reversed. That's right. I just put a question mark. The tires need to come off.
What? You don't, what? I love when people come in and tell me how to do my job. That should be easy to do, they'll say. And I'll be like, why don't you do it yourself then?
That's right. YouTube. Go do YouTube.
I've been around a long time, so it's easy for me to go, sure, why don't you? Why are you paying me then? You should do this. And then I'll make more money at the end of the day anyway, because you're going to fuck something up. And I'm happy to fix it. And
I'm that guy, by the way, the screw stuff up guy. I'll be like, I'll try it myself.
Sure.
Oops, lesson learned.
Yeah. And but those are rare. I mean, they're not too often.
Well, we had something recently where Forrester, we were driving it and Melissa was going to go see her sister in Perth. And it's like, oh my God, it sounds horrible. Like it's shaking. It's
well, it is a Subaru.
Okay. What had happened was I brought it into the shop. I said, hey, can you take a look at it? And they said, you had about 200 pounds of ice wrapped around everything.
Yeah.
So it took about an hour of shop time. And I was like, could I have done that? Sure. I looked in the wheel well. I didn't see anything. I was like, I don't know what it is. And
there's not much you can do other than let it warm up, take it inside. They
chiseled it off. So they actually, they actually had to. So they didn't have to do it because you're right. They could have said, well, it's a lot of ice. Just keep it in your garage, turn the heat on and it'll melt. Instead, they charged me an hour of shop time to get in there and clean the ice out.
That's a miserable job though. So
it is a horrible job.
You're lucky they only charged you an hour.
It's not super sophisticated. It's a horrible job.
It's just horrible. Okay. You're being dripped on. Like when we do like backup cameras and things that have to go under vehicle, like sometimes we have to run stuff. I'm like, bring it the night before. I said, because if you can't, I'm not laying. I'm too old to be laying under a drippy, disgusting vehicle. Sorry.
Are you ever really young enough to do that though? Honestly, Phil, I mean, seriously,
when you're younger, you don't give a shit. You're sort of like,
I used to do work with my uncle on my Reliant, and I remember here's the torch, and I'm like got flaming sparks falling all over. I'm like, can we get a little bit more room?
Yeah,
maybe a hood or something.
Torches aren't my gag, but so what are we doing this week?
Pastafarianism.
Oh my God, and the flying spaghetti monster.
FSM, baby.
FSM. Let's bring it on.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the OC. I'm Phil, this is my co-host Corey, and tonight we are talking about something delicious. We are talking about Pastafarians.
I apologize in advance. I know it's an interesting topic.
It's fun.
Ridiculous, because you talked about flat Earth. Okay. And I really do equate the two in the level of absurdity, right?
Absurdity, but not seriousness. Like flat earthers are a very serious bunch. These are like,
I would.
So Pastafarian, I don't think you'll find a Pastafarian who's willing to fight fisticuffs over the flying spaghetti monster.
Not yet, but it's still new. So remember, flat Earth has been around
you're not wrong.
For a while, and whereas Pastafarianism was only recently rediscovered in 2005 by Bobby Henderson.
Rediscovered. Wait a minute. Do tell.
Okay, so synopsis, folks. We're talking about Pastafarianism, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yes. I forgot my colander. I was going to wear a colander.
I was going to bring one up too, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of ridiculous. Then we'd have to wear hats for every episode, right? Which I'm not sure what we would do with the Jeffrey Dahmer hat.
Oh, it would be skin. It would have to find skin somewhere.
Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
My eye holes aren't even. Damn it.
What movie was it? God, what was the one?
Puts the lotion on the skin or gets the hose again?
Not that one. I'm trying to think. Was it the Wild Wild West with Will Smith, where they had a KKK meeting and my wife made this hood and she didn't cut the eye holes right. I just remember. I think it was Wild Wild West. I'm not sure. I just
Kevin
know
Kline.
Klansmen in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that was a great movie, The Wild Wild West.
I enjoyed it. It was panned a bit, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I've always a big fan of.
It's Kevin Kline, isn't it? Wasn't it? What he was one of the.
Yeah, I always mistook him for Calvin Klein. I was like, he doesn't look like an underwear model.
No.
And then I realized it was Mark Wahlberg was modeling Calvin Klein underwear, and I'm like,
the connections there. How strange a world we live in.
Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't seen Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Kevin Kline, it's actually quite enjoyable.
It is actually enjoyable. It's a funny movie.
Yeah.
I like all Will Smith movies pretty much. I don't know.
Ooh, I wouldn't say that. I found, have you seen, what was it after? Is it After Earth or the one where he's with his son?
Yeah. Okay. With the exception of a few. Yeah. But I mean, I Am Legend, I, Robot.
The book was better.
Well, it's Asimov. Of course it was better, but
no, not I, Robot, the I Am Legend.
Oh, I've never read the book.
Oh, yeah. And so in the book, what they really highlight is basically that as far as the creature, those humans are concerned, he's the bad guy. He's coming in, he's grabbing them, he's killing them, he's experimenting on them. Yeah. Like the book puts doesn't make him necessarily heroic.
No, but in the movie too, you kind of go, they're kind of like, you're not a nice guy. Right. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, folks, it's worth a watch. Tell me more about the Pastafarians. I got so many questions because you're a wealth of noodly knowledge.
Noodly knowledge is noodly appendage. Okay. So it's basically involved this fellow named Bobby Henderson, who wrote a letter to the Kansas Board of Education, which was debating the inclusion of intelligent design and creationism in schools.
Right.
And essentially he was saying, hey, if you're going to give intelligent design and creationism weight, then based on minimal evidence, et cetera, then here, you need to talk about the flying spaghetti monster because it's the same thing. And he actually creates, I have the open letter. So 1 second here. I'll read you a quote from it. I am writing you with much concern after having read of your hearing to decide whether the alternative theory of intelligent design should be taught with the history of evolution. I think we can all agree that it's important for students to hear multiple viewpoints so they can choose for themselves the theory that makes sense to them. I'm concerned over that the students will only hear one theory of intelligent design.
Makes sense.
And then essentially he goes on to talk about the flying spaghetti monster. He says he relates it to the, he does some spurious correlation between global warming and number of pirates.
Pirates, yeah. The lack of pirates, I believe it was.
And the increase in global warming, right? Yeah. And he actually draws a picture of the flying spaghetti monster creating a mountain, trees, and a midget. Remember, we are all his creations. And it's actually like on full scap, and it's very rough, sketchy document. Perfect. So he did this. Now, this was designed as
tongue in cheek, right? Like
as a statement, right? As an activist statement, as a bit of a, I don't want to say sad. He did not, to my knowledge, from my research, expect to go off and see this go really anywhere.
No, of course not. And I mean, it has.
Yeah, and welcome to the internet, folks, because originally, not surprisingly, the Kansas Board of Education really didn't give this letter much thought until it got posted to the internet, and then all of a sudden it took off. And it was this was 2005 when we were, I don't know, more edgelordy or not edge. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
It's sort of the early days, though, if you think about it in terms of internet, right? We had internet before that, but internet started to get really popular. Now you're starting to see because Facebook and bandwidth. So you're not
because of bandwidth, right? You couldn't do a lot of the cool stuff on the internet over your 14.4 dial-up modem.
No.
Right? And once you had high-speed internet become a thing or a common thing, then you were seeing, that's what, like, could you imagine trying to stream something like Netflix?
No, it would be impossible.
56K modem. Like, it would be like, I mean, there's a reason why Netflix, folks, you know, they started out shipping DVDs to people. That was Netflix. That was the Netflix model. Here, come, you sign up a membership.
It was like Columbia. Remember Columbia used to do the CDs? You get 12 CDs over the course for 2 cents.
In the case of Netflix, you didn't buy them. What happened was you would go off and sign up for Netflix, and it's part of your membership. You would get to sign up like so many DVDs a month. You could have so many out, and you would. I worked with buddies who would go off and they would order them and then rip them and then send them back. And then they build them. Their libraries. Piracy. For sure.
Well, yeah. What? See, piracy.
And see, that plays into this, right?
Right. So the pirates. I should have wore a pirate outfit.
I had a tricorner hat at one point. I don't have it anymore.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, it was a cheap.
You're ahead of your time.
Part of a Jack Sparrow outfit, which perfectly would have gone in. Okay, but
yeah, you guys are into some kinky stuff. I know. All right, so so the gospel. He writes the gospel of the flying spaghetti monster because of this, right?
This comes out because a publisher threw something like 80,000 at him, which goes to show you that anybody can be bought.
I don't think it was a difficult buy. He's like, yeah, I'll do that.
I'll put some nonsense down, and
I'm a teacher, right? Or he's a physics teacher.
Well, he's not a physics teacher. He's got his bachelor's in physics. Okay. He does his exact bio is right now we're looking at occupation. Aside from prophet of FSM, hobo, hammock enthusiast, also various nerd work around computers. And he's got a BS in physics.
Hobo. I like that. Hobo enthusiast? Is that what he said?
Hammock enthusiast. He's a hobo and a hammock enthusiast.
Okay.
I'm a hobo enthusiast. I'm not sure what that would look like.
No, I collect them. We don't
kink shame here at Chaos Podcast.
We do not.
Except for Phil. He just did with my pirate outfit.
No, I'm quite proud of you. Actually, it's a step in the right direction for you.
Step in the right direction.
Let your inner kink out. I say. Just
your freak flag fly.
Let your freak flag fly. Okay. So he's out in the world now, and then people are like, "This is a great idea."
And the question is, why are they thinking it's a great idea? So, do people honestly believe? And now, funny enough, did you do any research into the tenets of Pastafarianism?
Yeah. So some of them, like the holiday, like they follow. Well, the Friday is their Sabbath, right? That is their day of religious, which they partake in drinking and enjoying themselves. I believe.
What the afterlife is for worshippers of the FSM, right?
No, what?
Beer volcanoes and stripper factories.
Why not?
Which I don't think plays so well nowadays with our sensibilities, but in 2005 that was probably.
What is a stripper factory?
A factory that makes strippers. I'm pretty sure it's not paint strippers. However, I didn't delve too deeply into. I didn't Google stripper factory to see what it looked like.
Well, I like that they celebrate holiday, which is at Christmas time, but doesn't, and Hanukkah and Yom Kippur. What else was the other one? So it's in that we celebrate holiday.
I know, and this is something that I
thought it was funny.
I don't really care about, but I know some people are particularly sensitive about the happy holidays versus Merry Christmas. Right?
Oh, I always say Merry Christmas. I don't.
I know. Well, you can't even get them. Good luck when you're at the store. I feel like such a criminal if I say that to a
cashier. If you're wearing a yarmulke, I will say Happy Hanukkah to you as well. I mean, I'm not.
But then you have to recognize all religious headgear. So if someone's got a colander on their head, you're going to say, I guess you could say Happy Holiday.
Happy holiday
to you.
I have yet to see someone wearing a colander in public.
I don't think it's as common as.
I would love. So, well, why don't we explain why they wear the colander, Corey? What is that deemed for the religion?
No idea why they wear a colander on their head.
I suspect that it is
their official headgear because
it's the noodly. It has to be noodle related. I suspect. I mean, your god is a 2 meatball 1 pasta. Googly eye. I'll put a picture up of the.
Yes, and you can put the original hand drawing he did, or the one that's of Adam.
Yes,
the spaghetti monster.
Yeah, with his noodly appendages, which are magical. They actually do a lot for the world, apparently. So anyway, the pirates.
Did you read how the creation myth goes for because this is, again,
kind of, it's in my notes somewhere, but I mean, off the top of my head.
After binge drinking, essentially that the flying spaghetti monster created the earth after heavy binge drinking.
It makes sense. Well, there's a lot of, look at the platypus.
Weirdness, right? That's what, exactly.
Yeah, no, I like, you know what I like about this is that it's very much kind of my sense of humor. Like I like this sort of, you know, obscurity, and I can see people going, you know what, this would be fun to be around like-minded people. Do you know what I mean? Like a group of people
like
that are
Scientology.
That are just not taking life so seriously, you know, and that, because I would have a hard time believing any religion, to be honest with you, but at least if you had to choose, this is not a bad one.
Well, funny when you say that. So this is the whole idea when I was talking about tenants, that they tend not to have, I mean, so they've got the things about the afterlife, the beer volcano, and the stripper factory. They've got the holiday thing. They've got the
code of conduct. Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah, this is the don'ts.
I really rather you didn't. Is that
I really rather you didn't.
You didn't.
Yes. And apparently, did you? So you know, there's 8 of them, right?
Yeah, there's.
Originally, there were 10.
What happened?
Apparently, they dropped one. So
just because.
Well, it fell off actually.
Oh yeah. I don't have them listed, but I thought it was really funny.
Well, I've got them listed if you want to go
through. Oh yeah, them. No, I want to hear them. Tell me.
Okay, so this is so with the okay. I'd really rather you didn't act like a sanctimonious, holier than thou ass when describing my Noodly-Goodness. Some people don't believe in me. That's okay. Really, I'm not that vain. Besides, this isn't about them, so don't change the subject.
Right.
I'd really rather you didn't use my existence as a means to oppress, subjugate, punish, eviscerate, and or, you know, be mean to others. I don't require sacrifice, and purity is for drinking water, not for people.
Fair enough.
I'd really rather you didn't judge other people for the way they look or how they dress or the way they talk, or, well, just play nice, okay? Oh, and get this in your thick heads. Woman equal person, man equal person, samey. One is not better than other, unless we're talking about fashion. And I'm sorry, but I gave that to women and some guys who know the difference between teal and fuchsia. I can't even see those colors. So I'm offended by the fact they use those as examples.
That's very offensive for colorblind people. Yes.
And I'd rather you didn't indulge in conduct that offend yourself or your willing consenting partner of legal age and mental maturity.
I like they threw in legal age.
Again, which is a funny legal age, given how the variety of legal age in the States is. That's a bit of an interesting one.
The world.
Exactly, the world, right? Because if this thing we said is just a legality thing, well, as long as there's a law.
That's right. No, of legal age. Yeah.
Right. As for anyone who might object, I think the expression is go F yourself, unless you find that offensive, in which case you can turn off the TV for once and go for a walk for a change. Nice. I'd really rather you didn't challenge the bigoted, misogynist, hateful ideas of others on an empty stomach. Eat and then go after the, I'm assuming, bitch, bastard.
Bastard, probably a bastard. Yeah.
I'd really rather you didn't build multi-million-dollar churches, temples, mosques, shrines to my Noodly-Goodness, where the money could be better spent. Take your pick. Ending poverty, curing disease, living in peace, loving with passion, and lowering the cost of cable.
That's not a bad thing.
People don't do cable anymore. I mean, we might do cable internet, but I don't like. I mean,
I got rid of my cable first time ever.
Oh yeah,
we don't use it. It was very expensive.
Yes, it's like the home. The cable subscription is like the new landline. Everybody's paying like $50 for a phone, and it's like, well, wait a second.
Yeah, we got rid of our phone years ago.
Yeah,
years ago. But what's UMA? What?
It's one of those voice over IP phones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, what we found was we were watching Crave, and we were watching Netflix, and we were watching Prime. I'm like, who's watching cable that we're paying $100 a month for? Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, well, I watch Stars. I'm like, well, you can rent that for like $6 on Prime. So like all of their shows that they watch were like a third of the price.
And this is where, when you look at time-wise, I'll just blow through the last two, and then I'll just come back.
Yeah.
I believe I might be a complex carbohydrate omniscient being, but I enjoy the simple things in life. I ought to know I am the creator. I'm not sure why that's not a digis. I'd really rather you didn't go around telling people I talked to you. You're not that interesting. Get over yourself. And I told you to go love your fellow man. Can't you take the hints? And I'd really rather you didn't do unto others as you would have them done to you. If you are into stuff that uses a lot of leather, lubricant, Las Vegas.
Nice.
If the other person is into it, however, pursuant to number 4, then have at it. Take pictures, and for the love of Mike, wear a condom. Honestly, it's a piece of rubber. If I didn't want it to feel good when you did it, I would have added spikes or something.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's apparently the 8.
Yeah.
But yes, so back to your cable discussion. It's the same thing with the whole, we've gone off and like I got Melissa off it a while ago. When we moved, I didn't bother setting it up. It's like, I'm not paying for cable, so I'll pay for internet, but I'm not paying for cable that I don't watch. And you have another option.
Yeah, no. And then that's the way, well, I mean, I remember when we talked about it, I said to my wife, I'm like, well, do you watch anything on there? And she's like, no, do you? And I'm like, no. Well, why do we pay for it? Well, the kids. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, let's ask the kids. Kids, get in here. And they're like, no, we pretty much watch Netflix. If they barely watch TV, YouTube, man. The young watch YouTube. That is like,
Melissa's a big YouTuber.
Yeah. YouTube is like everything. It is for our kids. Like, I don't tend to watch a lot of YouTube. But yeah, no, it's crazy, man. Cable will die soon.
It will change. It will, because they will realize that you're moving toward an IP TV model where I can stream it at will. I don't have to wait for you. Like I got my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they talk about PVRing stuff. I'm like,
what? Yeah, what is that?
I'm not sure if you're kidding or not.
No, I've never PV. Oh, you mean record stuff?
Personal video recorder. Yeah.
Like why? What would you?
Because you can't watch, because you're not able to watch it now. Oh, wait, I can bring up whatever I want on demand when I want to see it. Okay.
And pause it.
Pause it and restart it. And
or when I restart, or if I'm done and I restart it where I left off, it remembers. Yes. No, I've never. Yes, PVR. I do recall cable was like that, right? You could PVR shows and
and they're not surprising still on it. And I laugh, but it does require an effort. So I went off and I've set Melissa up with like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Plex, Kodi. I've gone so many different things. And so I suspect, do you have individual cable, like NVIDIA Shields or Fire Sticks or that? Or are you just using whatever comes with your TV?
Our TVs are all smart TVs. So
yeah, they are not smart. They are dumb. They think they're smart.
Right.
Here's my piece of advice, folks. If you have a smart TV, disable all that smart TV functionality and get yourself a device that does that stuff and plug it into the HDMI port. You'll be so much happier.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, you can explain to me further about that.
Okay.
But not now. We're deviating from our Pastafarian.
Our Pastafarians would be proud of that, right?
That's true.
They would say, you do as you wish.
I'm thinking of joining. Anyway, that's a side note.
You should join the Dudism. I think I'm a member of the Church of Dudism, or a priest or something.
You are a member of the Dudism?
So let's hop into Flying Spaghetti Monster, or the Church of the Flying Spaghetti, or Pastafarians, falls under the concept of parody religions.
Oh, how cute.
Yes. Well, okay. And this is where they say, so parody religions are essentially religions that usually are either outright mocking current religion,
right? Yes,
or cleverly going off and using the same logic that we use for religions. For example, Flying Spaghetti Monster says that, well, okay, you can't prove, I'm making a statement that you can't prove. Right. And if your argument is that it didn't exist in an ancient book, that people who didn't know how to create fire, right, or whatever, okay, so they use the same arguments, the exact same arguments to cover all this stuff. And now the parody religions run very different ones. Like there's a lot of, did you look into any of these? Did you see anything about that?
Not really. No, I focus more on the Pastafarian, but I would have. I think that's cool. Now I'm going to Dudism. Dudism. What are some of them? I want to write them. Dudism.
So Dudism is one of them.
Okay. What's
Right,
another
that's a
one?
big one. Where's the pink unicorn? Is it the pink unicorn? 1 second. Where is the? Oh man, where did I see it? Invisible pink unicorn.
Invisible. That's
invisible pink unicorn, which is probably
this could be a whole series, Corey.
This could be a whole, yeah, exactly, right. You've got the where is it? The all joking, all drunken synods of fools and jesters, which is actually less of a religion, but it is a religion.
More of a club.
So it's actually a social club founded that is designed to sort of mock the church, right?
Right.
But they say, well, we'll do the same things. It's like, this is the beliefs we're going to follow.
Right.
So where is it?
Well, that's how Scientology became, yes. Right? That's L. Ron Hubbard.
It's Dianetics.
Dianetics. He wrote a terrible, terrible book. I mean, yes. I even tried to read the book one time. Really? I was like, well, I thought it was online. It's free. I thought, but yeah, it's just because I wanted to kind of see, the fate of, all these little things. And I was like, whoa, okay. They based a religion on this.
I just wonder how, when you think of how these things take off. So funny enough, that's one of the fears of Bobby Henderson here, is that the flying spaghetti monster now, for the last 15-ish years has been kind of a parody religion.
There's thousands of members.
Well, so okay.
Thousands.
How do you account for membership?
There's a certificate, so you become ordained in the religion.
Yes. Now they say you can get them to print it and buy it. So they don't accept, accept donations, except they do, because they have expenses, the whole plan
to ordain you. Yes.
This is where we get an interesting idea of philosophy, a way of living versus a religion, right? So in the UK, for example, I don't know quite the exact number, but like the third most popular religion is Jedi.
Really?
Like third or fourth. Yeah, it's on based on their statistics. Like you can actually say da or other, and you put the other one in.
I did read
Jedi.
Certain states will allow the colander to be worn in your driver's license. New Zealand
officially recognized in New Zealand. Yeah.
In New Zealand, yeah. So New Zealand is like, wear your colander. Yeah. How about it, man? Hi, dog. Small friend dog. Want to join the revolution?
Now you're Tiatwaki. Is that
the guy from he's a New Zealander. He does the voice of the rock dude from
Korg.
That is the best. I wish they would do a whole series on those two guys. I think it would be awesome. I'm a huge fan. So
Tiatwaki also directed it. So the guy who does the voice is the director of Thor Ragnarok.
I know he does a bunch of stuff. He actually has a TV show that I started watching. I forget the name. Fuck. It's about these detectives who do paranormal stuff.
Is it Dirk Gently's holistic?
I can't remember. It's on Netflix. It's hilarious. It's this guy and girl, and it's a very shtick kind of like they're very straight, like pretending to be very straight.
Fox and Scully and Mulder kind of thing.
Yeah, when all this weird shit's happening around them, and they're not very smart. But they're like it's excellent, and the camera crew's following them, right? Like it's sort of like an office. It's like a
reality. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah, they're like these two police Bobby kind of guy, like guy and girl, and it's well written. Like I got away from it, unfortunately, just because I'm so fucking busy. But yeah, anyway, so you can wear a colander. And certain states, I believe it was Missouri or anyway, in the United States, they also, you can have your photograph with your colander.
So this is the challenge, right?
Yeah.
By using traditional arguments on religion.
Yes.
Now, they also ruled in one case, they said it's clearly a satirical, and I want to say it was Utah, where they said it's clearly a satirical. It said it's clearly a satirical religion. It is not. Now, do people believe this? This is where it gets a little funny. So if you go to the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster site, questions and answers. Is this a joke? The response.
Yes, I went through some of this. It's hilarious. Yeah.
It's not a joke. Elements of a religion are sometimes described as satire, and there are many members who do not literally believe our scripture, but this isn't unusual for religion. A lot of Christians don't believe the Bible is literally true, but that doesn't mean they aren't true Christians.
Right.
Now,
so
does
to
anybody
me,
actually believe? So I one thing I would say that's consistent in religions, which is where I kind of disagree with this, is I think you might not believe parts of the Bible are literally true, but that doesn't mean you don't believe there's an afterlife where if you on a broad strokes, Christianity,
right.
you be a good Christian, you go to heaven. You be bad, you go to hell, right? Like that's
right,
consistent. Right. And I think people believe that. I don't think any Pastafarian actually believes that their afterlife is going to be a beer volcano and a stripper factory. And if they go to not a good Pastafarian, which I guess means you did the didn'ts. I'd rather you did the
didn't. I'd rather you didn't.
It sounds kind of judgy. I mean, we're getting judgy now, like other religions. It's good on them.
I'd rather you didn't kill people.
I'd rather you not do these things, right? Instead of commandments, thou shalt. It's like I'd rather you didn't. And they say you go like basically the strippers all have STDs and it's watered down beer. That's the Pastafarian hell, apparently. So if you don't like beer, if you're gluten, and I don't know about gluten.
If you're gluten intolerant, shit.
Either one sounds terrible.
That's right. Here's the thing, though. All religions, I guess, when they first started, had to start somewhere, right? I mean, it's a pretty big jump to go, hey, there's a dude up there in the sky floating around, and he made all the decisions. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow too. Right.
Well,
and I think that's where they're
somewhere, right? Like that's the idea where you say, okay, wait, we exist. Therefore, when did we start existing? So, so did we always exist, or was this? And this is where we start getting into the creationism thing. And you talk about the, creationism. Hey, God created the earth in 7 days, right? Or
for sure,
right? 7 days. And
6, and he rested on the 7th.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Correct. On the 7th, he rested, which is
I don't know how I know that, but sure. Yeah. The Sabbath.
Well, and in Jewish faith, the Sabbath is Saturday, not Sunday.
Weird. The Jews got to be different.
They just got to be different, but they still believe in a God. No. They might have slightly different tenets, and this is now one of the things when they talk about creationism. That is the idea that the Earth is older than the Bible dictates.
For sure,
the way the Bible talks about it, and there's a hypothesis called the. It was written by who was it? Written by this fellow. Where is it? Philip Henry Gross, the OMP Fallows theory, and essentially it basically says, no. The Earth is only this old, but when God created it, He created it to look like he pre-aged it before He created stuff.
Wow. Why wouldn't you put dinosaurs in the ground and
put dinosaurs in the ground,
oil,
and all exactly do all this stuff, right? They create mountains gas. And create river, and carbon date stuff. Make sure the rock.
Sure. That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah,
I guess
it's the whole idea that for the Earth to be functional, God created it that way, right?
Sure.
To appear very old versus So essentially, there we go. Check. Now things line up.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, when you're talking about omnipotence, you can make everything line up always.
And this is where the parody religions, the serious parody religions that, like, again, they use the same arguments, right?
Yes.
The Flying Spaghetti Monster uses the concept of Russell's teapot, for example.
Right.
Which is a common thing. So Bertrand Russell created this thing. Have you read anything about Russell's teapot?
Did not. No.
It's a thought experiment where Bertrand Russell said, hey, okay, there is a China teapot floating between here and Mars in space.
Right.
Now, it's so small that we can't perceive it, but it's there.
Right. So
prove me wrong.
Right.
We can't.
It's like flat Earth.
Well, I can't accept flat Earth. We can prove it, but that's.
Well, I mean, yes, but not from the time like we couldn't go into space. You go, well, yeah, we'll prove it.
Exactly right. I got science to show stuff, but
and
we did go into space and we showed, hey, here's the Earth round.
For sure.
You can see it floating.
But that's where the premise of the flat earthers go, yeah, no, that's all fabricated. Because it's, you can say whatever you want to make your belief, right? Like you can sway whatever party. I like the fact that, this is a very, it's not a religion. I guess it is a religion. I don't want to offend any Pastafarians out there. However, you kind of go.
Technically, they shouldn't get offended because I think true. They're not supposed to get offended because if we don't believe
that's in part them, of their didn't. Yeah,
that's right. Didn't.
One of the things is they say that a lot of the Pastafarians tend to be atheists or not, like anti-religion.
It's a church of yes, exactly. That it's not necessarily
right.
The people that are Pastafarians aren't actually religious
at all. Yeah, and now, like myself, I'm not religious. But I'm not anti-religion. I think that people should have the right to.
And what is religion, though? This is the problem. Yeah. Is religion so?
Well, my kids went to a Catholic school, right?
Yeah, because there's this perception that the Catholic school is better funded than the non-Catholic schools.
There's no perception. It is most definitely better funded. Well, no, but they had programs so they were the only school that had programs that would help our oldest boy he has autism, and it really did help. They had programs that the public school board were like, yeah, you're going to wait years to get onto these programs. But it was fine because he learned about religion. He asked us questions, and we're not deeply religious people, but we believe that you need to formulate your own ideas about things, right? I don't want to sway my kids into believing what I believe, or like, anyway.
It all comes down to oppression for me. I believe whatever the hell you want, but the moment your belief starts impeding other people, you want to believe in the flying spaghetti monster, Jesus, Muhammad, fine, no problem. Sure. That's what gives you comfort and makes sense to you.
Right.
Fill your boots. But the moment you start coming to me and saying, hey, you need to believe the same thing I believe because I'm right and whatever you believe is wrong, arsehole.
Well, what I think too is that the 98% of religious people that are devout religious people, they mind their P's and Q's. My grandmother read the Bible every night before bed, never talked about the Bible. This is the 98% of people, right? And then you have that 2% that are going to be, absolute fucking crazy about their religion. Like, you are going to go to hell. I'm trying to save you. God damn it. Listen to me, you heathen.
Yes, I will save your soul at the cost of your corporeal form.
Right?
Why am I being tortured? Wait, you're beating and torturing me because...
Yeah, you want to kill me because I don't believe in your religion. And so, yeah, I think, and this is across the world. I mean,
it's not uncommon.
No, and then
heretics exist. Heretics and blasphemy, right? So again, now it goes both ways. And this is where it's like, and this is where the flying spaghetti monster is a bit of a black mark because it is poking fun at, let's say, it's poking fun at Christianity, basically. Like the tenets are they use the same arguments to justify Christianity and they poke fun at it and, see how absurd. Oh, it's absurd. It's a flying spaghetti monster, but not a, grandpa sitting on a cloud.
But some people love absurdity. Like I'm one of them.
I do find clever. I do.
I love I love clever absurdity where it's like, this guy, he's obviously, he's fairly intelligent and, he's making these things out to be very tongue in cheek. Anyone who's going to read this is going to go, but he's a good person. He's got good ideas to make, don't fuck around with other people. Let
Jesus
people
had good
themselves.
ideas too. And we saw how that turned out.
Wait a minute.
Position, here we come.
Here we come. Yes, you're not wrong.
Now, the question comes in with this concept of belief, right? So Pascal's wager is another thought experiment. And this was, who is the fellow? Blaise Pascal. And essentially, you do it's basically a 4-box model. It says, okay, you either believe in God or you don't believe in God, and you're either right or you're wrong.
Makes sense to me.
So there's your this is the decision, your box model. So so basically, if you believe in God and God exists, it's infinite reward. Right?
Sure.
You pick the winning horse. Great. If you don't believe in God and God exists, you're so fucked because basically
you're screwed.
It's infinite punishment instead. Like you're burning in hell.
Perfect.
If you believe in God and he doesn't exist, then it's a finite outcome, meaning you're on earth for whatever time you did, and hopefully your belief in God. And this is where people tend to pick at it a little bit. In one case, they say, well, if you're living Christian doctrine, maybe you're not having fun. You're not really enjoying life. And if you don't believe in God and they don't exist, then you've got to find an outcome. And theoretically, you're a little bit more positive there, because if you live your life without restrictions, maybe you're going to enjoy yourself more. And hurt a lot more people. So I believe that we're saying this a lot. This must be a religious podcast. But my belief is that we do need things to keep us in check. Otherwise, you're into chaos, right? So humans, like the Ordered Chaos podcast.
Yes,
which we give order
to chaos. Like and subscribe. But yeah, like when humans are left to their own devices, you tend to see a lot of pillaging, raping, conquering.
To a degree, we do, and we are innately social, and we form groups. The only problem is when two groups meet, there's a good chance one is going to rape and murder the other. There's a good chance. It's not 100%, but it's a non-zero chance.
Yeah, based on history, it's Well, they see that when they did studies with chimpanzees, and chimps are very interesting because they share a lot of our DNA. They're very intelligent, and they're also very they're one of the few creatures that will kill for what will look like pleasure, fun. And they'll also annihilate other tribes of chimps. They're actually very you can watch a few documentaries on National Geographic that will change your outlook on what a chimp is. It's like, it's not Curious George.
They've got muscle density rivaling lizards. Guess what? These guys tear your face off. You think you can take that chimp? Good luck there, buddy.
No, then they'll go for your sack too. They'll rip your face off and they'll go for your
That's
genitals.
Right. Those are the two you go.
They know. They're smart. They're smart. They go, I'm going to tear your balls off.
Well, it fixes two problems. One, you're no longer as pretty. And two, wouldn't matter if you are.
You're dead.
If I succeed at least one of these things, you're no longer a reproductive threat.
You're dead. You're dead. You should ever see one of these things fucking with no hair on them. Oh my God. It's like they have this hair disease, like mange.
Like alopecia or whatever it is.
Alopecia, yeah. So
I have.
I'll post a picture of what a chimp looks like with no hair on it. And it is a frighteningly muscular fucking monster.
So on that note, regarding chimpanzees, right? So one of the things Flying Spaghetti Monster talks about is, evolution.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And so how Pastafarians revere pirates.
Yes.
Okay. So they actually say, well,
they were the first.
Yes, they were the first. They were the original Pastafarians. And what it was, where is it? So they talk about evolution. And they say that, you're looking at chimpanzees share something like 99% of our DNA. Like
98, 99.5%. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, so to discount, I don't know if they're discounting evolution or what now, but they say, well, pirates share 99.9% of our DNA. So they're even more, closer to us.
Pirates. Yes.
Captain Mosey or Mossy or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I read about that. No, they've got views on everything though, right? Abortion. Yes. They got views. What was their view on abortion?
Is that the one about sperm should be,
sperms, potential humans, if allowed to develop, deserve the same protection as fetuses and fully grown people.
Anyone who harms sperm is guilty of murder, including pushers of hot water jacuzzis and tight-fitting underwears.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm not sure what that says, but they're not judgmental of same-sex marriages. So you're seeing a lot of the, you have religions that are anti same-sex marriages, and
the problem with that is often this is tenets based on like at one time, back in the day, which is funny given the fact the Greeks I mean, they might not have made religions out of it, but they certainly had no problem doing all sorts. I mean, the Spartans.
Oh, what about the Spartans? Oh, do tell.
They were very
promiscuous with each other. Well, they were also raised. So Spartans were taken from their parents as like small children. They were basically raised
separate from women. So you had the boys and the girls were separate.
Yeah.
They were raised.
Were there female Spartans? What?
Well, okay, technically. So
I don't think
the
so.
way it worked with Spartan, the way it worked with so they weren't, the females were raised separately because they had different roles in society, right? So to die of old age, the Spartans sucked. Like that was not good. So the whole Spartans, the idea was you died in battle, right? You either came back with your shield or on it. And that's how you sort of, you gained an honorable death. Women wasn't combat. It was actually childbirth. If they died in childbirth, that was honorable. Yeah, it was just weirdness, total weirdness. And the whole like you can do some interesting, I don't know how I stumbled onto it. It's funny when you start clicking on things and you start going down this rabbit hole. And they would talk about how the Spartan men and Spartan women, it was like, okay, we're hooking up to do stuff, but you know what? I've got I'm going to hang out with this dude here, and he's my bro. We were really close.
He's my bro.
We're really close. I really like him.
I guess if you look at it in like prison situations, right? Where a lot of people go, oh yeah, in prison, but
that tends to be less consensual. But I think I want to say Spartans was more consensual. Okay, but it was a survival of the fittest.
In all honesty, I think there's a lot of consent. That's rape or sexual, very different. But there are men who they're spending an extended period of time. And they're
and women too,
and they're not homosexual. They're not for sure. They're not homosexual, but they take the comfort in another person. And it's been shown. There's been studies done that it's like, okay, well, having worked in this system, I wasn't in a long-term system where the people were there for long periods of time, but you could still see relationships develop between these people. They're in a bad situation and they need comfort.
And we're not talking relationships like friendship. We're talking the next level of friendship.
Yeah, like a love for one another. Which is, you kind of go, most people are like pass it off, but that's a very human thing, is to want acceptance and to want to feel safe, right? And to have
comfort. Really that's when you look at the flying spaghetti, when you look at the tenets of it, I mean, they might go off and mock poke fun at Christianity by using the same arguments to talk about his Noodly-Goodness. But a lot of the stuff, and again, it's a sign of the times. It's 2000. It was a religion created, rediscovered in 2005 versus 205 BC. It's just one of those things like, okay, guess what? Yeah, not surprisingly, we think it's wrong to enslave people now.
Yeah, it's bad. That's a bad thing. You should not do that.
You should not do that. That is bad.
I mean, yeah. And there's only certain cultures in the world that actually did the whole enslavement sort of thing, right?
I think if you were a peasant serf and essentially you worked on your land till you died and gave your lord most, sure,
I guess
you're not enslaved,
but
you really don't have options, Phil. You're a serf. You're like, it's not like you can
all right, you're not wrong. Fine. I was trying to just see some light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah, but now mind you, they laugh now when you see like the Amazons and the Walmarts, and you have people in not similar state, because you do have the ability to go, and with the pandemic,
right,
they've had to all increase their pay, because it's like, well, you know what, you want workers, and if Amazon's offering me 15 and you're offering me 12, bye Walmart. You better.
Well, minimum wage has gone up, and which is very
went
difficult.
Up because it's been I'm always mixed on this. I understand the concept of living wage and agree with it. However, you have market forces at play, right? So do you need to force Amazon to pay a living wage, or does it become like, hey, listen, we want workers, so we have to pay them money that they'll work for us for, right? That's how the free market system is supposed to work. Government isn't supposed to come in. We have to, because there's been so many abuses in the past. But
what happens at the end of the day, because being in business as long as I have been, I mean, I've never really paid anyone minimum wage for what we do, right?
But slave labor, I get it.
Yeah, no, well, we never had to pay. Like, when I think minimum wage, you're thinking like, grocery stores. And even then, if you're there for a period of time, you can start to make more money. Convenience stores, all the jobs that nobody wants to do, right? But then what happens is the consumer at the end of the day is the one who pays. Correct. Right? Like if my prices went up.
I'm going to pass it on. Whatever expenses, this is like tariffs, whatever expenses you put on me, don't worry, bro. I'm going to pass it on. And as long as it's across the industry, as long as everybody has to play by the same rules, I'm not going to suffer ill effect. I'm just, this is what inflation, this is part of the aspect of inflation.
But that's the thing, is that what you're doing is creating inflation. That's all you're doing, right? I pay you more. That's fine. But like for me, I had to raise my prices this year on certain things because my costs went up 30 to 40% on certain items because of COVID. We've never seen any kind of increase like this ever. And we were like, whoa, like I order a very large amount of stuff for our winter time. And I was almost like, holy fuck, I don't know if I can afford to order what I normally order. Like it was that much of a discrepancy. Like, so I had to up my price. We had to up our costs, but just to break even. So we had to up, not to make money, just to, be where we need to be to make profit. And that's all you'll see businesses do. They just go, yeah, fuck you. That's fine. You want me to pay more? Your coffee's
We haven't
more.
increased so we have a couple rental properties and we haven't increased our rent to account for all the increased costs because and this is where Melissa and I fight whenever the place comes up for rent. I'm like, okay, let's try to identify a good rent. Right. That's not the bottom, not the top, but somewhere in the middle that we can say, hey, we've got all our stuff covered because we're not going to increase our rent. We could increase it based on whatever the landlord we don't, because we believe, hey, somebody's paying a mortgage off on a property. I would rather have a tenant in there for the long time. That's not going to.
Yeah. You're looking at the long term,
which is what goal. Often people don't do. They look at the short term. Right. You see this in corporations where they start cutting stuff, right? So costs go up. So they start cutting stuff. Okay. It's like, well, wait a second here. Now I can't deliver on the work. So now I've got less work. So now you're going to cut more because my profits are like, it's now you have this horrible Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail thing. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, but that's, I guess we've diverged here from our Pastafarian.
What the hell were we talking about with Pastafarianism? Something about flying spaghetti monsters.
Yeah. Well, I think we were talking about Christianity, how, the world is, it needs some sort of ordered
there's the concept of spontaneous order, right? Where that if a bunch of people get together, it turns out we will start to figure things out without consciously doing it. Like we'll line up, we'll start queuing up, or we'll do stuff. And there is the idea of guides. Religion was the earliest forms of societal control, right? So I don't need to have cops, police. I've got saying, hey, listen, Santa, you don't want to be on his naughty list or you don't get toys.
Fair enough. Right? Or you're not going to go to heaven. You're being a bad person. You're going to hell. Hell, it burns.
Well, it doesn't burn. So it depends, right? So the Norse hell, for example, is, you could imagine.
Freezing cold. Oh,
exactly.
Worse.
Like you think about
Way
it.
Worse.
You're Norse. You're like, God, I can't imagine any place warm being bad.
Right, that's true. Well, I mean, fiery warm, like your skin is being burnt off. That's pretty hot. Yeah, I don't know. That's I like the idea of it though. I totally, this is one of those ones when you start reading about it, I didn't know a lot about it, and I'm reading it, I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like I would go to a Pastafarian get together because I think it'd be fun. Like you, me, and a bunch of the guys could just get together and like put on our colanders and our pirate regalia.
I was going to say the pirate outfit.
Our pirate outfit.
Apparently, International Talk Like a Pirate Day is a Pastafarian holiday. I didn't realize that. I didn't know the two were related at all.
Well, they were the first. You have pirates like Jack Sparrow, for instance.
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Jack.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anything else to add?
I think we look too deep into this stuff. Oftentimes this is an after action review on things.
Yeah.
I think society, I don't necessarily believe Bobby Henderson deconstructed religion to the level that it's getting, that Pastafarianism is developed to deconstruct religion. Again, it was initially, hey, intelligent design and creationism, what the hell? Tell you what, if you're going to do that, then teach this thing too, because why not?
Yeah, and I think it's a great concept. I think that I think maybe we take things too seriously in life.
Do you know the difference between creationism and intelligent design, Phil?
No, do tell me. Like aliens made us, and then other than that, we're genetically made, and then
they can. Okay, so it can be the same thing in the sense that creationism, you have an all-powerful creator. Okay, now intelligent design basically takes that and says, essentially, that things are too complex to have happened randomly.
Right.
So we are therefore, so creationism, intelligent design, to say there's a difference, it's hard to say, but intelligent design tries to do like a pseudo-scientific saying, well, wait a second, things are way too complex to have happened randomly.
Yeah.
You look at how we turned out. Now, is there a non-zero chance we could have turned out this way?
Maybe.
Yes. Right. I mean, it could, and it comes down to trying to prove. What are you trying to prove? How do you prove that we weren't the result of intelligent design versus evolution? Evolution, we can see proto-humanoids. So that's the evidence, but that doesn't necessarily mean, unfortunately, when you look at some of the arguments regarding intelligent design, that, okay, well, you've got proto-humanoids,
right?
Like proto-humans that, okay, well, so the creator, which actually calls them whether the creator was omniscient and all powerful and all knowing. If you create proto-humans,
but in the idea, if you follow religion, Neanderthal was 10,000 years ago, right? Like
and they didn't
way
exist.
Beyond the Bible's date of Earth's creation. So all of those things are either they're planted, so to speak. They're
planted back to that Oma Fad Theos theory hypotheses that functioning now, and this is where you deal with the proto-humans, right? Technically, if you have an all-knowing, all-powerful being, you look at Garden of Eden, they didn't say Adam had a sloped brow and hair and on a socially unacceptable places, although they do talk about him not having a navel, apparently.
Well, why would he? He wasn't born.
He was not born of a woman.
He was not born. He was created.
Right? So
that's your umbilical,
because that's where umbilical cord. So
it's
in case you're wondering, folks, that's what it's there for.
That's the only reason. Yeah.
So when you look at that, it's the idea that you have this perfect human, which is us. And we've noticed we've changed over the last 200 years.
People are being born now without appendixes. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that. My mom's a mutant, by the way.
Oh, well, do tell.
Apparently she was at the cardiologist and she's got a heart valve mutation that normally, if you have it, it is a cardiac impediment. However, there's a rare mutation of that thing where it's actually a slight benefit to your cardiac performance.
Really? Oh, maybe have you been checked? Maybe you haven't.
Why would I go get?
Why would I bother? Jeez. I'm a middle-aged man. Why would I bother with my health?
Listen, I'll probably have a friggin' colonoscopy when I hit 50. Is that when we start doing it, Phil?
You get a finger in the bum. Around this age.
You're not checking my colon when you do the finger in the bum test. The colonoscopy is where they feed the hose up.
Oh God!
And they say you might feel a slight pushing sound.
Yeah, you're going to feel a bit of pressure.
Here's your berry. Here, drink this. It'll help clean you out. Stay near a toilet.
Yeah, drink this. Stay near a toilet. This is going to be messy. Here's your rubber boots.
Yes.
Oh.
But gross. Sorry, you were saying I cut you off talking about colonoscopies.
No.
You were talking about the appendix thing.
The appendix. Well, there's some. What's the other one? There's in your forearm or in your wrist is actually tendons. People are being born without. There's three
supposed to be our swinging ones, right?
Yeah. So there's. I'm not evolved. I have 3 of these tendons, but I know like my son has 2. Right, like. There's an evolution of our body to saying we don't need certain things, right? We don't need to be.
And some people argue this plays into intelligent design, that we're following a predetermined blueprint where our form is changing.
Wisdom teeth is another one. People are being born without wisdom teeth. And that was these extra molars for crushing, bone, meat.
Well, because our jaw structure has changed, right? So we know, I mean, I still have a pretty solid jaw.
You are a Neanderthal.
We're moving towards weak chins, folk. You'll see it. We'll have like tiny little delicate little mouths.
Little tiny, beautiful. Big head. Big eyes.
Big eyes to
look at the
screens.
What is this starting to look like an alien?
Or an anime.
Or an anime. Yes. Any kind of anime. Well, there you go. Well, do you want to wrap it up? You want to tell me, do a synopsis of our...
So synopsis, Pastafarian was created or rediscovered, depending on what you buy into, by Bobby Henderson in 2005. After putting an open letter out to the Kansas Board of Education regarding the teaching of intelligence design and creationism in school alongside evolution. Okay, it is popular, although I suspect it's not as popular as it was. I think stripper factories and the beer volcanoes and stripper factories are not as acceptable, perhaps, as they once were, but who knows?
I think there will always be a place in people's hearts for those.
This is true. And it has been deconstructed on the concept of using Russell's teapot, using Pascal's wager, and using the ophthalmologist theory hypotheses, where it uses these to basically say, hey, I can make crazy arguments too for my spaghetti pile being a crater as well.
My pile of spaghetti is bigger than your pile of spaghetti.
That's right. And it's officially recognized for reasons in New Zealand.
Actually, it's in a number of countries, but New Zealand is
the
really
big one.
adopted.
I've got some ones from Belgium, and I think Belgium actually officially was the first one to allow somebody to wear a colander on their head for their D&D.
Nice. Wear your colander proudly.
Next time, Phil, what are we talking about?
I don't know if you're going to like this one.
Is it a serial killer?
No.
Okay, then I'm usually pretty cool with. Is it Bigfoot?
No.
Okay, then.
Though I could if you want. I'm always ready to do Bigfoot. I'm like on it. Bigfoot, I want to do the Mothman.
Oh, I would love this. I love cryptids. I just hate your obsession with Bigfoot.
I like Bigfoot.
I know.
But Mothman has always interested me. I remember seeing that movie with what's his name there?
Nicolas Cage.
No,
the Mothman. Was it Kevin Costner? The Mothman.
No, it wasn't Kevin Costner. It was.
What the hell was in the Mothman prophecies?
Richard Gere. It was Richard Gere, and he did a great job. But yeah, no, I'm interested in some of this stuff, and so let's do the Mothman prophecies. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching the OC. I'm Phil, my co-host Corey, and we are going to Pastafarian you to next episode of the Ordered Chaos podcast. I'm wearing my colander next week. Good night, folks.
Day late and $1 short, Phil. That's all I can say.
Have a good one.
Take care, folks.